What up, world? Established Rich coming right back at you. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna say this right off the top. It's certain lines that you should never cross. There are certain men who deserve our utmost respect, and there are certain violations that cannot be erased by a camera, a conversation, or a check. And what Vlad did to the Honorable Minister Farrakhan was one of those violations. And the fact that Lord Jamar, yes, the same man who publicly denounced Vlad, called him out for his disrespect, and encouraged others to stand on principle, he has now returned to that very platform. Damn! See, let's start with the facts. In 2020, Vlad misquoted the minister, misrepresented his words, put a false narrative into the algorithm. And when he was called out on it by Jay Electronica, My Sign, Rose, Lord Jamar, and others, he refused to apologize. I mean, he flat out said no. Like Minister Farrakhan was some low-level IG commentator, and not a man who has been on the front line for black people for over 6 decades. Now, Vlad claims that misquote was an honest mistake. He says he was not trying to disrespect, and maybe that's true.
Maybe.
But this is what a real man does when he makes a mistake like the one you made. He apologizes immediately, not 5 years later, not after views start dropping, not after the money gets funny. And this is where my issue with Lord Jamar comes in. Because for years, and I mean years, he has stood on that position. He spoke eloquently and boldly about Vlad's refusal to apologize. He said we are the platform. He needs us more than we need him. And now he's back, sitting across from the same man who disrespected one of our greatest leaders, talking about rebuilding bridges. Nah, bro, some bridges are meant to be burned.
Now, since he don't want to respect the culture like we need him to respect, now Operation You're Corny as a Mother, you go up to Vlad is in effect. Point blank. Like, and don't think that I don't have that type of power, because I do. So guess what? Anybody that goes up there now that's not on code after the main, 2 of the main motherfuckers that was on that channel said we ain't fucking with this no more. If y'all continue to go up there, you're corny. You're corny, and we not fucking with you. Because right now, it's all about us as black people staying on code.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. It depends. You know what I mean? Like, I don't hate dude. It's just, he's, you know, would I rock with him the way I rocked with him before? No. Because, you know what I mean? You showed your true colors. You know what I mean? But it's not like, you know, I have a phobia of him or some shit where I can't talk to him, but I'm not supporting his platform like that. And I'm not, you know, I'm not going to be fooled into thinking that we cool like that. He's about him. You know what I mean? And I'm about me.
So we would never see a day when we see Lord Jamar back with Vlad on this platform. No. Even if he came out and apologized for everything and was like,
it's too late for that. It's too late.
Yeah, it's too late for that. Do you think Godfrey is going to go back? Because he said he's not going to.
He said he's not, but you know, I don't know about his integrity. So we'll see. We'll see. But trust me, I was the one that painted us in the corner of not going back on there, because the homie was talking about, well, maybe we'll just take a break. No. I was like, no breaks. We either you don't do this or, you know what I mean? So that's what leads me to believe he might go back. But he says he's not. So if he don't, cool. Stand on business.
See, when you take a stand for Minister Farrakhan, that ain't no temporary act of outrage. That ain't no moment of virtue signaling. That's a lifetime declaration. You don't stand next to him one day and sit next to his enemy the next. And make no mistake, if you publicly lie on a man like the minister, if you intentionally misrepresent his words and refuse to apologize until years later, you are not a friend to this community. Look, I got respect for Lord Jamar's history. I used to rock Brand Nubian back in the day. But principle don't have an expiration date. And loyalty is not supposed to have a backspace button. Some people online are suggesting that maybe this is financial. Maybe it's popularity. Maybe it's exposure. Maybe Vlad finally said the right thing.
But I'm going to say this.
If you can be brought back to that platform that violated a man like Minister Farrakhan, then you was never standing on stone. You was standing on sand. The moment you went back to Vlad, you sent a message to everybody that's been watching you. Stand on what you believe until it's inconvenient. And that's not what we need from our cultural voices. That ain't what the next generation needs to see. The Honorable Minister Farrakhan is a living symbol of discipline, of truth, of fearless black leadership. He has been misquoted, attacked, and targeted for decades, but he never wavered. He never folded, never ran back to the very men who lied on his name. So why is Lord Jamar? Vlad admitting that a simple apology could have ended all of this in 2020? That's not accountability. That's admission after convenience. That's saying my bad only after you realize you losing stock in the community. And if you gonna return to that platform, you owe us an explanation more than we talked. Cause you publicly left. So you need to publicly explain why you went back. Not just for your sake, but for the young ones. The ones who thought you were a beacon of principle. You told us to boycott Vlad. You told us to withhold our power. You told us to be men of standards. And now you sitting across from the same man nodding your head. Like he ain't say what he said. Like he ain't wait half a decade to acknowledge it. I can't respect that. I won't pretend to understand that. And I'll be damned if I co-sign that. This ain't about interviews. This ain't about clickbait. This ain't about content. This is about the character of black men who claim to represent something bigger than themselves. If you're going to speak on the name of Minister Farrakhan, then you got to stay consistent, even when it costs. But hey, that's just my opinion. What's yours? Like, comment, subscribe, establish rich. I'll be back with another one. Peace.